Keep Going with Jasmine, where internal healing leads and your outside reality follows. Now, I got some tea for y'all today. We're going to start at the beginning, okay? The beginning would be your childhood. So, funny thing is, I was going to write what I was going to talk about today on Saturday. But I went looking through my notes, and look at what I found. I wrote this on 6/5/23. Like last year. Oh, it says 12/5, excuse me. 12/5/23. Okay? And look at the title. Keep Going with Jazz. Like, it's funny how everything works out. Like, I told you guys I've been wanting to start this for months. So, when God really says, you've already done planted your seeds and, now it's time to water them, it's literal. Like, I literally wrote this December 5th, 2023. Here we are, June 11th, 2024, and now I'm about to post it on my new podcast. Like, this is just so exciting, you know what I mean? Like, to me at least, because it's funny to see my vision finally, like, coming to life, you know what I mean? So, like I said, today's topic is childhood. We're going to start at the beginning. So I'm going to read what I wrote, and, we're going to go off that. So it says, let's talk about how and when it all started. Growing up as a child, I always felt weird, different, unheard, and unseen. I didn't really get the support. I just felt like I didn't belong where I was at and who I was around. With that being said, I often isolated myself. I literally talked to myself. I had many imaginary friends. I kept a lot to myself. I went through a lot of trauma in my childhood, from being molested by my older cousins, to seeing my favorite uncle get stabbed nearly to death, and that wasn't the first time that happened, to having a very aggressive, abusive, addicted to drugs uncle, to having a mother who was never there mentally and barely physically, to being shy and insecure, to disliking the way that I looked, never fully being able to share or express my emotions in a healthy way. Then, my two favorite people passed away. My grandmother, who raised me, passed away when I was 15. What are you doing, Lizzie? Hold on, y'all. My cat is doing the most. Sorry about that. Where was I? My grandmother, who raised me, passed away when I was 15. Then my dad, who I loved dearly, even though he was going through his own trials and tribulations, passed away when I was 16. After that, my whole life changed. Now I want to get into a couple of those things, into a little more in depth about them. Now, I was molested by my two older cousins when I was, probably no older than my son. I have an 11-year-old. And for a long time, I thought it was my fault because it happened more than once. And I didn't really speak up about it the first time. And like I said, it happened more than once. So I felt like it was my fault for a long time. And that just changed my whole mindset and way of thinking because I was young. And that was happening to me, and I felt like it shouldn't have been happening to me because family, my cousins, are supposed to be like, your second brothers and sisters. They're supposed to be really close to you. They're supposed to be someone you can trust. They're supposed to be, family. But, family hurts you the most. So that's how that went. Then, seeing my uncle coming in the house with blood all over him, people carrying him in, my grandmother screaming. I literally had an asthma attack that same night. So while he was being rushed to the hospital, they had to call another one for me because that shit scared me to death, literally. And it was just a lot. Like, it was a lot. Then having a other uncle who was addicted to drugs very heavily, and he was very aggressive. He used to like bang on the doors, bang on the windows of the room that we were sleeping in to get in the house because my grandmother would not allow him in the house. And he would just really be aggressive. He would break things, he would punch the walls, you know, he would yell and scream. It was very scary. Like, I used to be scared of him growing up. You know, it's funny because as I got older, just recently, maybe I say about last year or 2 years ago, I said to his face, like, you know, I used to be scared of you, but I'm not anymore. And that shit felt so good because literally you traumatized me as a kid. So now that I'm older and I can defend myself, I'm like, boy, no. Then having a mother who was never there physically, like my grandmother raised us, you know what I mean? She raised us, meaning like we only went to my mom's house some weekends. And even on those weekends, there was no love there. There was no compassion. There was no genuine love there, you know what I mean? She took us because my grandmother needed a break, literally. So that was that. Then, you know, me being insecure about my skin color and just not liking the way I looked, because in elementary school I did get bullied and picked on for being dark skinned and for having a like squeaky voice. Like, they used to call me Elmo. And it's funny because now I think that that's funny because I love Elmo. He's cute and he's funny and I love his voice. So whatever, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean, just my childhood was really good. Like I said, my grandmother raised us and she made sure we had everything that we needed and gave us a lot of the things that we wanted. But I still grew up in a chaotic household. I still grew up with a lot of damaged and hurt and unhealed people who were still trying to figure life out, but doing it in the most toxic way possible. You know what I mean? Like, I have addicts in my family who is not just addicted to drugs. There's a lot of alcoholism in there. And you know what I mean? Like, no one truly is trying to heal themselves from the inside. They're all using coping mechanisms to deal with their issues for a temporary fix. And that is why I had to separate myself from them, because they are not willing to change. They are not ready to change. And you cannot force anybody to change. But I would never take that away from my grandmother. She did a great job raising me. And you know what I mean? Like, I am forever grateful to her and for her. It just really sucked that she had to, not had to, but you know, that she passed away when she did, because I was still very young and I was coming of age in my teenage years. And I was, you know, I needed to learn about womanhood and how to move in this crazy world with someone who actually loved and cared and supported me. But, you know, I can't and I couldn't control that. So my life went on and I had to figure it out on my own. And although I figured it out, I'm figuring it out, you know, it was a lot and it was hard. And I made a lot of bad decisions when I was younger. And I don't regret it because, you know, like I said, everything I went through, I had to go through to get to where I am today. And I am truly grateful for God for being with me through all of that and to helping me get here. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But thank you all for listening. I'm going to end it here. Remember, go be kind.